So, one of the main questions I'm sure a lot of fans still wonder about, especially with a rumor going around that, and I don't know if it's a rumor, but the way people have been talking about it, or at least looking at it, some feel that Sonic Frontiers, the upcoming game at the end of the year, which is supposed to really change the landscape of Sonic gaming for quite some time, some fans, just by what they're perceiving potentially could lead in this direction, they believe Sonic Frontiers could maybe be Sega's way of giving us Son Amy. Now, I'm not saying that's entirely true. I'm not saying that's going to happen. It's just something that, based on what I've heard people talk about, how people are viewing, how I've seen people view it and describe it, that kind of feels like it's the belief going around. Now, nobody has outright said that it's definitely the direction they're going in, and Sega themselves have not outright said that's what they're doing. But just based on what's going to happen and everything, a lot of fans feel that that's a strong possibility. But then this brings me back to why, out of nowhere, I'm starting to see a lot more fans, probably just as many, if not more, popping up across social media, Twitter, Facebook, DeviantArt, Furmphidian, Ink Bunny, you name it. A lot more people are popping up again and basically reminding fans through descriptions, essays, artwork, basically reminding them that, yeah, Sonic has a love interest already. He already has a love interest already, and that is Sally Acorn. And that the reason it works in many people's eyes is because they play off each other very, very well. They're both basically constant foils for each other, and that's why basically there's this attraction that goes beyond friendship with the two. And you can really see that. You can really see that when you go back and you rewatch the Sonic Satayam cartoon series, which you can watch here on YouTube and on Paramount Plus, as well as other places, but mostly those are the two primary areas you could see it. And also when you go back and read the Archie Sonic books pre-Soft Retcon reboot, and maybe a bit, just a bit, not much, but maybe just a bit post-Soft Retcon reboot, you can kind of see that. And when you look at those dynamics, you could see why fans are so behind them, more so than they are Son Amy. Now, let me make this perfectly clear. If done right, in my opinion, if done right, I don't really think there's a problem if, they want to, in some capacity, make Son Aim kind of canon, but allude to maybe this being something more now between them. I'm not against that if done right. In my opinion, probably the best example was Sonic X. Yes, Sonic X did show Amy still obsessing over being Sonic's girlfriend, doing whatever it takes, especially in the third season, But over time, we also saw her character develop to where she knew, okay, one of the ways I can prove my love to him is to put my life on the line for him and for others. And obviously, towards the end of the third season, the series itself, it kind of felt like they were alluding towards, something like that happening between the two, especially when you get to one of the final episodes. So if done right and balanced out properly, in my opinion, I have nothing against it. I mean, if Sega okayed IDW to potentially go with it, I wouldn't have, and as I said, if it's done right, I wouldn't have an issue, because the Amy that gets presented in IDW Sonic, yeah, some would say it's basically a character, easy for me to say, a character of Sally Acorn. That basically it's Amy playing Sally, but it's not Sally that we see. You get what I'm trying to say. She's basically playing a caricature of Sally Acorn because her personality seems in the IDW books to be identical in some form or another of Sally's. But With that said, if IDW got the okay by Sega to probably try to put Sonic and Amy together, I have no doubt that it could be done correctly. Like, it could be done in a way that makes it the equivalent to Archie's presentation of Sonic and Sally, to where basically they could be foils for each other, but there's something there more than just friendship between them. Now, when it comes to Sonic Frontiers, will this be that moment that some fans have been waiting for? I don't know. It could be, it could not be, I don't know. But even so, like I said, when this started to kind of percolate in its own way, a lot of fans started to show up and remind people, like I said, in different kind of ways, why Sonic and Sally's relationship works so well in the cartoon and in the comic. Because of the fact that they played off each other so well that you knew that they were destined to be together. I mean, a prime example, in my opinion, again, going back to it, as I've said many times before, is after the Iron Dominion arc. Well, basically, I said myself, and you could clearly see it, the situation with Sally and Monkey Kong was very similar to other stories where one of the main characters has a love interest just for that story, and then after that story, that love interest goes their separate ways or whatever. And she ends up basically, and the other person, the main character, ends up, with the original love interest eventually, because, being with this new love interest wakes up feelings inside of them that, hey, this person's very similar to my original love interest. Does this mean I've never really fallen out of love with them and I just need to, give them another chance? Because let's not forget, in the comics, Sally had a lot to kind of build back up from a character standpoint, and being with Ken Kong, Monkey Kong, kind of, again, like I said, woke up and stirred up those feelings that she still had for Sonic, and basically realized that, hey, me and him basically in story, basically made her realize, and although they didn't show this in any panels or issues, it made Sally kind of basically wake up and realize, yeah, I've never truly fallen out of love with Sonic. It's just that I lost my way. I let others influence how I would do things. And now, she's back on track, and Ken Kong basically was like that last piece of the puzzle she needed to get back to who she was and reunite with Sonic. Sorry about that, but like I said, it basically... Sorry about that again. Sorry, I got a little frustrated there at the end because it's the second time the phone goes off. No offense. But anyway, I apologize for that. But anyway, getting back on subject again, hopefully with no interruptions. Basically, even though we didn't see it comic-wise in an issue or panel-wise, basically Ken Kong was that last piece of the puzzle to remind her that she had not fallen out of love with Sonic. She still had feelings for him, but again, she had lost her way. She had lost her way thanks to the fact that others were influencing her in what to do, from her father to Jeffrey, if you will. She was being influenced by the wrong people. Even though they probably believed they had the best intentions, she was being influenced by the wrong people. Thus, she lost her way. And now she had found her way back. And over time, after the Iron Dominion arc, she was able to, not only show that she was back, but we got moments, throughout the issues of her and Sonic basically flirting with each other again until it culminated in 222. And just those moments throughout those issues after the post-Iron Dominion arc and stuff definitely showed that, again, there was something there between them. And even Ian Flynn knew that. That's why even in the post-Sonic retcon reboot of Archie, you kind of saw moments here and there. It's the fact that even Ian Flynn realized that this is always going to be Sonic's love interest. Even if Ian wasn't going to do romance in the comics anymore, with a few exceptions, here and there, he knew this would be Sonic's love interest no matter what, and he had to allude to it in some capacity. And this is why, I should say, this is why you have, a lot of folks, like I said, lately coming out upon seeing what people are just, seeing how people are viewing, viewing this situation with Sonic and Amy when it comes to Frontiers, how they're viewing it, describing it, speculating on it. This is why, because even though nothing officially has been announced or even hinted at, this is why you have fans suddenly coming back out and saying, yeah, we get it, we understand, we see where you're coming from, but let us remind you, Sonic had a love interest, still does have a love interest, and her name is Sally Acorn. And a lot of people will show pictures and descriptions and essays on why that's a fact, why that's something that has to be reminded and alluded to time after time after time. But yeah, like I said, if they decide to do Son, Aim, and Frontiers, and they do it in a way that I feel and others feel is more done respectfully and correctly and appropriately and balanced out to where it doesn't upset anybody, then I'm cool with it. If, like I said, if Sega decides to give IDW the okay, and Ian Flynn is allowed, or Evan Stanley is allowed to write that scenario, hopefully they do it in a way that's balanced out, respectful, and makes sense. And could be, as crazy as it sounds, the equivalent to Sonic and Sally and Archie. And just saying. But, we'll have to see. Again, this is just mere, from what I'm seeing, from what I'm reading, from what I'm kind of getting, getting from my own point of view, it seems to be that's exactly what, a lot of fans are looking at possibly occurring or being hinted at or alluded to when it comes to Sonic Frontiers. But we'll have to just sit back, see what they do, and go from there. But yeah, in the end, I think we still have to be reminded, Sonic had a love interest, and the reason it worked was because they were good foils towards each other. They understood each other. They knew how to push each other's buttons, even playfully, and everything. But overall, it was just something that clicked. It was just something that just clicked like that. Like there was just something that, even if you put that aside, the chemistry just clicked, no matter what. And they did, and basically they built, and that chemistry basically helped them build up to being more than just friends, and not just in the cartoon, but in the comics as well. So hopefully, if they want to do this with Amy, in, via Frontiers, allude to something maybe happening, or even do something with Amy in IDW if Sega was to give the okay, hopefully they do it to where, we see it get gradually built up, and we see that chemistry between Sonic and Amy and IDW, maybe Frontiers or IDW, well maybe even Prime, but mostly IDW, we see it get gradually built up correctly and see it cap off in a way that's more acceptable, in my opinion. More acceptable, believable to a lot of fans. And like I said, could be IDW's equivalent to Sally and Sonic and Archie. But we'll see. We'll see what happens. But yeah, I just wanted to come on there and basically talk about the fact that you constantly see reminders day after day after day almost. Not, in a row, but almost day after day after day. Ever since this has been kind of like acknowledged in some capacity. But let me know what your thoughts are, guys. Comment below. Live chat during the video. What I'm trying to say is, like the video. Live chat is open. Super chat, super stickers are open during the premiere. Super thanks after the premiere. Also, check me out at patreon.com/bwrosas at the $1, $3 tier. Check me out at Venmo at Brian-Warmer-2, Cash App at bwrosas98. Also, check me out at my Teespring store for merchandise you can't get anywhere else. Also, check me out at VENMO at bwrosas for content you can't get here on YouTube, and at EW Rosas Discussions, all your favorite audio podcast locations except for Pandora. But let me know what your guys' thoughts are on what I had to say. Have you noticed this just as well as I have? What are your thoughts? Potentially Sega maybe alluding to something in Frontiers? And what are your thoughts if they decide one day to give the okay to IDW? What are your thoughts? How do you think it should be done? And do you think Sonic and Sally is basically the relationship that set the bar for any potential relationship Sonic gets put into to try to reach, if not surpass? What are your thoughts? And until next time, guys, I will talk to y'all later.